I always have to think about what happens if I don't do this. That's what helps me be like, okay, nope, you got to sit down and you got to do this and work hard, because for me, there's no plan B.
You've doubled the size of your business in the last 2 years. Did you have a 20K month recently?
I've had 2.
Unbelievable stuff. So February and this month. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this month was going to be a 20K month. Congrats. That's great.
We were coming out of this canyon. She slips, he holds her, gets her across, and I try and go across way too fast, and I slip. Slowly feel myself starting to slide.
So today's guest almost had a fatal accident in a canyon while he was out canyoning with a bunch of his friends. And that same year, he decided, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to move into a van and go all in on the idea of making a living with a camera. Is it possible? Well, that's the story of Ross Bernards. He's an awesome dude who went through our mastermind a couple years ago and has tripled the size of his business, basically, just inside of 2 years, which is incredible. And so this episode breaks down really what he's been working on, what he's been focusing on, everything from how he's changed his pitching, his different sales strategies, what it looks like to actually hook somebody via email when you're wanting to work with him, how he's had multiple $20,000 months, which is awesome. So cool. And a lot of stuff in between there. So if you're in the brand world, this episode is going to be awesome for you. You're going to love Ross's stories, the value he drops, and just the overall flow of the conversation. But if you're into pitching, do not forget, we've got a great pitching resource here at Creative Rise. It's actually the same one that Ross got his hands on, which has dramatically increased his ability to pitch better. You're going to hear a lot about some of the value, tips, and tricks inside of that pitching masterclass on today's podcast. But if you want more of that, make sure you just hit the link in the description and you can pick that up for yourself and start increasing the quality and the quantity of your pitches so you can get your next yes. But so excited about this episode, guys. Dive on in. Here is Ross Bernards. Alrighty, Ross, welcome to the podcast, man. So good to see you. So good to have you on. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Joey, thank you so much, man. I feel like I finally made it. I'm on the Creative Rise podcast, so I appreciate you, man. It means a lot.
Hey, added to the resume, man. I'm glad you're here. So claim it however you want. But Ross, you've been listening to the podcast for a while, so I'm sure you know how this is going to go. But we're going to jump right on into some rapid fire. So cool. Give me your name, location, and business.
Cool. I am Ross Bernards. I am based in Fruita, Colorado, just on the western slope on the border of Colorado and Utah. And my business is Ross Bernards Photography. I do photo and video and brand content strategies for brands that can benefit from outdoor content.
Guys, yeah. If you need to re-listen to what he just said, go back and listen to what he just said. Brands that benefit from the outdoors. That is, Ross, that's actually a switch that we talked about couple years ago that you have really owned. And really the inverse of that, actually, I'll let you explain it. Describe the little subtle shift there before we keep going with the rapid fire.
Yeah, well, the shift really helped me because it helped expand who I was looking to actually work with and brands that, I want to work with. Just shifting from brands that can benefit instead of just outdoor brands, it opens up a huge array of different types of clients that you can reach out to. Because basically anyone can benefit from outdoor content. Outdoor content is super inspirational. If your product is sitting somewhere awesome, helping someone live their best life outdoors, people are going to stop the scroll and notice.
Yeah, love it. So good. So you don't just work with outdoor brands. You work with brands that can benefit from the outdoors. Brilliant. I love it. Okay, so based in Colorado, Fruita, Colorado. Mm-hmm. Outdoor photographer, filmmaker, brands, working with brands that benefit from the outdoors.
Yep.
You know these two questions too. We're going to go kill, marry, date. We got, who am I going to throw at you today? Let's go Sony, Canon, and let's toss in Nikon.
Okay. I marry Sony. I use all Sony. I have 3 Sony cameras and tons of lenses. I would date Nikon because that's who I grew up on. And I would kill Canon because none of their camera system does not make sense to me. They're great cameras. Growing up on Nikon, it was an easier switch from Nikon to Sony than any time I ever tried to pick up like a Canon camera and make it work. I was just like, what? This doesn't make any sense. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Canons are great. Best skin tones out there on a camera is Canon. But
sorry, Canon.
The operating system.
I love it, bro. Okay. Last question. Real quick, give me a flop. You gotta have something good, Ross. Give me a flop. We're gonna talk about some amazing stuff that you've accomplished in the last few years in your career. let's humanize you for a second. What you got? Give me a time where something didn't work out the way you thought it was going to work out.
I have a lot. I flop a lot, but the key is just like you learn from it and you just keep moving. My first ever shoot that I ever got, it was an unpaid shoot. When I was first thinking of like diving back into photography full time, I went out. I forgot my backup memory card and all of my backup batteries. And I was shooting on a Sony a6000, which are notorious for having a short battery life. And it was a weekend-long hiking and backpacking shoot, and I had one battery. So I had to bring an auxiliary battery and just constantly have it plugged into my camera to get through the shoot. And then like at night, I would empty my card because it was a small like 32 gig card or something like that. And so I had to empty it each night instead of what I normally do, which is, I have 256 gigs in two of them in my camera now, so I don't have to think about it. And so it was a very humbling experience of like, oh yeah, you need to bring those. But even this last weekend, I went to do a shoot and I got started later than I had anticipated, but I thought it'd be fine. But when you're filming yourself, everything just takes longer. And so it was a 5.5 mile hike. I made it about 3/4 of the way, realized I wouldn't get to the penultimate spot in time to do the hike back in daylight. And I was like, I got to turn around, just come back tomorrow and do it again. So that's what I did.
A little reshoot. We love it. You know what's so funny about the card story, having one card, one battery? I've heard stories of people where they're at like weddings or something like this, or they're at a brand shoot and either the camera is full, their battery dies, and they're so embarrassed. They just pretend like they're still shooting. And they'll just shoot the rest of the day. Like each moment, they're like, oh yeah, beautiful. Yeah, turn this way, walk that way. And nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. I don't remember who told me that story, but I know somebody who that happened to them, which is atrocious. That's rough. That's tough. That's real tough. So yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Ross, we met you a couple years ago, 3 years ago now, I believe.
24?
Probably was it tail end of 23? 2 years ago? Okay, cool. Yeah. It feels like it's been years, which is awesome. You're a great dude. You've got an awesome business. We've gotten to watch you grow your business, make a lot of changes to how you run your business, and some really cool stuff's happened. Numbers are not everything, but you've doubled the size of your business in the last 2 years, which is awesome. You've gone from a successful full-time paying income, of like $50,000, $60,000 to doubling it to now 6 figures last year. And then this year, your income looks like it's going to grow another potentially like 25 to 50% on top of what you even did last year. So like awesome stuff is happening. I think you had did you have a 20K month recently? I'm pretty sure you did, right? A couple months ago?
I've had two.
Okay.
This month
unbelievable
and,
stuff.
in February, yeah.
Unbelievable stuff. So February and this month. That's awesome. I didn't even know this month was going to be a 20K month. Congrats. That's great. So many people, Ross, want to be you. Like there's so many people that, and you would have said the same thing, right? A couple years ago, you would have listened to a podcast like this and went, I want to get paid to travel, to be outside, do the things I love. And we're going to get into all that. So thanks for joining us, guys. Super excited you're all here today to chat through this. Ross's story is awesome. But Ross, before we get into like the tactical stuff, take me into how did you get into this? It's a little bit of a dramatic story. How you actually got into doing this and wanting to pursue this full time. Take me there. Take us into that moment.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to that old saying, life, you never know which trail life's going to take you on, and you think you're going down one lane, and it just you take a turn and you're on something different else. So I did photography in high school. I needed to fill an elective my first trimester of my freshman year, and there was a photojournalism class, and I was like, oh, I got to play in a dark room. That does date me a little bit, but that's okay. And so I was like, that sounds cool. So I did that. And the teacher for that class was also the teacher of our high school newspaper. And she was like, hey, you're a good photographer. You should join. So I did that all 4 years of high school. And in my senior year, I was the editor in chief of our high school newspaper, which won some like national awards and stuff. So it was awesome. And when I went to college, I was either going to go for photography or golf. I played golf growing up. I decided to do golf. So I'm actually a PGA professional or former PGA professional. But when I started working in the golf industry,
which is incredible.
Yeah.
That's so great.
I just got burnt out working in golf because it was like I was working 60 to 100 hours a week, salaried at $30,000, could barely pay my bills, was any time off. They're like, oh, let's go play golf. I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere near a golf course. I want to just sleep.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a bit, and then I started working in hospitality. I was working in high-end hotels in Vail, Colorado, and I was doing that for a few years, and then back in like 2016, I picked a camera back up again. I called a friend of mine because I was following Chris Burkard on Instagram, and I was like, man, I go to cool places. Like, maybe I should pick up a camera again and start like capturing them. And he like inspired me to pick up a camera again. So I bought a Sony A6000 because my old Nikon digital camera from like 2005, apparently things had changed in 11 years in digital photography. And so,
do you remember what camera that was?
I want to say it was like the D1. It was one of their first one, or D100, I think. It was like one of their first ones.
Okay.
And
cool.
I think it was like 12 megapixels. And I got the Sony A6000 and started shooting again, and was going hiking and canyoneering and everything, and just falling head over heels back in love with photography, and was like, maybe someday I'll think about doing this. And then in 2017, my roommate, or a friend of ours at the time, a couple friends of ours, took my wife out canyoneering for the first time, and I joined them. And we were coming out of this canyon, and there's this exit where you have to kind of like cross this slick rock bulge that's pretty steep and exposed. And if you fall, you're going to slide like 30 feet and then fall like 50 feet onto rock. Get my wife, my roommate gets my wife across, who was a girlfriend at the time, and she slips. He holds her, gets her across, and I try and go across way too fast, and I slip. And so I'm hanging on by my right nail on my middle finger, my left big toe, and my belt buckle. And I'm just slowly feel myself starting to slide. And I call out for our friend to come help me. He's able to come in. He's like, can you get up? I'm like, no, there's no way I can make a move that's not going to result in me going backwards. He's like, well, what do you need? I was like, a rope. So our other friend was already across. He threw down the rope while Peter, my roommate, pushed my hand into the rock to stop this, just give me some more friction and help from sliding down. And have the rope in my hands. But I can't grab it. So it's just sitting in my hand. He's like, you can't grab that yet. I'm like, yeah. So I have to wait for him to secure himself. And so finally he gets secure. I get up and I get out. And that experience kind of shook me a bit. And I was always planning for someday to do something. And it made me realize you're not promised someday. You're only promised today. You're promised right now. And so a year later, I quit my job. We moved into a van, and I've been doing freelance photography ever since, because I knew that, I wanted to work for myself, and I wanted to see what I could do and make this the driving force of my life and show people how I see the world, and the beautiful places that I'm fortunate enough to go live and work in.
Wow. That's a crazy story, dude. I'm glad you're okay. That's very scary. Very scary. And also just so crazy that your wife was there on that day. That's wild. I'm glad she was okay. Gosh. So and hey, quickly describe what is canyoneering for everyone that doesn't know. Like for people that didn't grow up around the mountains, slots, all that stuff. So what is it? Because someone might get the full grasp of like how gnarly that actually is.
Totally. So canyoneering is a unique sport. It's a pretty specialized sport. And where I live out here on the western slope of Colorado, we're really lucky because Utah has some of the most magnificent canyons in the world that are dry and don't have running water. Most of the rest of the world, all the canyons that you can run are in rivers or streams. They have running water flowing through them, which adds another level of difficulty and fun. I do enjoy them. But out here, you have beautiful sculpted slot canyons that you'll hike through, and then you'll use ropes to rappel down or down climb through different obstacles, and all sorts of different things using technical gear and skills to progress through and then hike out. So usually you start at the top and end at the bottom, and then you got to hike back up and out of the canyon to get out.
It's like mountaineering, except you're going down.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going
exactly.
up.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
The only time you come up is at the end, unless you're ending at your car, which is the best way to do it.
Yeah, totally. So you had we could call it a, near-death experience, a very scary experience. You're like, I'm all in on doing what I want to do. I want to get paid to do what I love for the rest of my life.
Yep.
I'm not going to waver from that. You move into a van. What year is this? This is like 2017, 2018?
2018 is when we moved into the van. So it was a year after the event. Our landlords had said they were selling the condo that we were living in. We couldn't afford it. And so we just took it as a sign. I was like, let's just go for it. I was miserable. I was working 60 to 100 hours a week in hospitality and not seeing any real avenues for growth and just being stressed all the time. I was waking up 4 or 5 days a week with panic attacks that, oh shoot, did I miss something? Did I get this right? Did I do this? We have this VIP coming in, and it's just, it wasn't healthy. And so I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do this. And so I jumped in. I don't recommend people taking the route that I took. So I quit my job and jumped in with 0 clients. 0. I had done one shoot. I had done one shoot for a brand. I was like, I can do this. And so it was highly recommend not doing that and kind of building your portfolio a bit before. Now you can do it. And if you're going to do it, sign up for the mastermind right away, because I would have made it would have taken me so less time to get where I am today, 8 years later, than had I taken the course like back then. Because there's just so many funny things that I did that I was like, what was I thinking?
Well, why don't we actually start that? I think that's a great talking point. What is the formula to go full time? There's going to be a lot of people listening to this podcast that are in the shoes you were in. They're working a job that they feel is a dead end, and they're like, this is not how I want to spend the rest of my life. But making the jump to go full time is very scary. So Ross, you just said,
totally scary.
Do not make the jump to go full time the way I did it. What is the formula in your head? What would you have done differently knowing what you know now?
Yeah, so I was super naive when I jumped in thinking, I'm a good photographer and stuff. And I'm better now than I was 8 years ago. But my big thing was like, if I just post on Instagram some great photos and have compelling captions and grow kind of an audience there, that's going to help. And if I then just email a few people every so often saying, hey, I'm Ross Bernards, and tell them what I do, that they're going to want to hire me. Nope. And when I talk to other creatives who approach burnout and are struggling and aren't getting the work they want, I ask, okay, well, how much outreach are you doing? They're like, well, none. Okay. Like, but my work speaks for itself. I'm like, yeah, but you have to speak for your work. You have to tell them what is going on. Because there are so
Dude, that's good. I've never heard anybody say that before. Obviously, the work speaks for itself thing, but I love your clap back to that. That is so good. But you have to speak for your work.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
People get inundated with emails from creatives all the time, sending them stuff. And one of the feedback that I've been getting quite a bit recently from people who are responding to my pitches is, hey, thank you for actually identifying some problems. Like you guys said in the mastermind, those who can identify the problem will get permission to fix it. Don't just introduce yourself and say who you are. Give them a reason to want to open that email. Give them a reason to want to make it to the bottom. Show how you're going to make their life easier. One of the great pieces of advice that I got from someone that I worked with early on that I never fully understood until I took the mastermind, but one of the things he said was, be easy to work with. That means, don't be difficult. And but it also, you can also stand up for yourself, but be easy to work with.
Yeah.
And I would always just kind of bend over and just, I can do that for this. I can do that for this, instead of trying to show the value of what I was actually doing and bringing. And so you want to make people's lives easier. A good way to do that is show the value up front by being like, hey, here's some directions that I think you guys could go that would be really helpful. Here's how I can help you achieve that process with minimal impact to your daily work life, because I know you have a million things going on. Let me take care of the content so you can take care of the business.
Yeah. So give me a real life example of that for everyone that, the idea of problem solving might be newer to them. Take me into an ideal client of yours. What would 2018 Ross, maybe send an email? What would that look like, sound like? And what are the changes and differences that you would, approach the email in 2026 as Ross that, as a 6-figure business does it
Totally.
full time,
Totally.
bought a house, like
Yeah.
take us there.
It would have, the emails were super simple because I always knew you wanted to have like a clear, concise and short one, but it'd be like, hi, my name is Ross Bernards. I'm an adventure and outdoor lifestyle photographer based in, at that time I was in Vail, Colorado. And here's what I do. I can take these types of photos for you. Here's examples of my work. I think where I live would be a great spot for your brand. That's basically it. I would introduce myself, say why I think they need me, not identifying a problem, but being like, I can do this for you because I live in cool places. And that would be essentially it. There was there wasn't anything to it. It was like a copy and paste format that doesn't really work, never really worked. And so I'd get so frustrated. I'd get so down on myself because I would send, 100 emails a month at that time and get 2 responses, maybe. Whereas now I'm sending 40 a month because I send 10 every week. I've upped it to 20 due to other things that videos that might have to be made if I don't reach my goals, but that's okay. And I'm having a much higher, like 30 to 40% response rate. They're not all yeses.
Wow.
A lot of them are at least responding. Like I just had one email me back and say, hey, thanks so much for reaching out. While this does sound, awesome, we're not looking to expand in this area right now. Great. Let me know if that changes down the road, but it's still a response instead of a ghost. So if you want to do this, you have to understand that when you're getting ghosted, it's nothing personal. I took it so personal. It's like, I suck at this. I'm just a terrible photographer. These people get hundreds of emails a week. I had a call with an owner of a brand last week where he's like, thank you for putting thought into your pitch. I get hundreds of these. Here's why I actually responded to you and booked a call.
Wow.
So you have to.
What did he say?
I had identified some issues. They had great content, but I had identified how it could be used, how they could use it, just pivot a little bit to create some different forms of content that speak to a broader base more effectively by highlighting the features that they have, but in a real world scenario, as opposed to just one person out talking about it, but like showing it in use, giving case studies type of a thing.
You're talking a product business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I pitch primarily product-based businesses. And
Love
my
it.
goal in the next year or so is to start trying to get some more service-based, like guide companies and things like that. But I enjoy working with the product-based businesses. It's fun to try out new products all the time. And as all my friends say, I'm their personal REI store. So if they ever need gear, they know they can just come look in my garage.
Yes, dude, 100%. That's like, my parents always joked about that because, I started my business really young. So a lot of my early years of making, new partnerships with brands and them sending me like the first bulk of equipment, a lot of it would end up at my parents' house because I was living there because I was like 18 or 17, or 16, 15. And I remember when I worked with Yeti, my sister, I have it on my phone still. My sister sent me a screenshot. She goes, I think a client sent you stuff and it's inside the front of my parents' house and there's like 7 coolers and then like a bunch of other boxes with like other Yeti stuff. It like filled the whole front room and I was like, yep, that's it.
Yeah.
And still to this day, my parents joke about it all the time. Every time they come and visit us here in California, for everybody that's listening, I grew up in Canada. Every time they come and visit us in California, my dad jokes. He's like, I'm bringing just like one more piece of gear that you've still got in some closet or something, or in our garage. So very much the same that way. Okay. So Ross, take me actually into the pitch. Why don't we talk pitching for a second? You just touched on pitching. The first thing, Ross's rules for pitching. We'll go with this. Okay. First thing on the Ross rules for pitching list is don't get offended. Like, it is a numbers game. So many people, because I hear this all the time too, Ross, we've probably even had this conversation at some point where people are like, I'm just discouraged, and it's like, well, how many pitches have you sent out this week? Oh, 3, and none of them got back to me. I'm like, okay, first of all, it hasn't been long enough to say they have not gotten back to you yet. Like, hit them with a few follow-ups. In 6 months, tell me they're not responding. They're ghosting you. Second, like, send more pitches. It's a volume game. So if that's rule number 1, what's another piece of helpful advice, very tactical, that you found helps you get responses when you are pitching?
Be personal. Like, talk to a specific thing that brand does or doesn't do that they should. Don't just make it generic. Like, people can tell if it's something you can copy and paste. Be specific with what it is that you see as their pain point and how you're going to fix it, and give them some options. Like, maybe a couple of different things. Like, hey, I think a reel doing X would be beneficial, and we could have some accompanying photos of Y to like help complement that. Or even like, I've gone through like their websites and said, hey, this is great, but I think you should maybe have some of this kind of content on your website. Like, a lot of things right now for SEO, you need to have that video, that horizontal video at the top is what is like bouncing off, is getting more clicks and stuff, and higher rankings in SEO. So I've talked to clients about that. Like, hey, we need to make a video for your website. Like, just B-roll. It's nothing, just aspirational B-roll. Product is interspersed with it. It's not the hero. The hero is the shots of people living their best life, because that's what you're actually selling. You're not selling a cooler.
And this is a looping header video, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you're not selling a cooler like Yeti. You are selling a campfire conversation with your best friends where you're solving all the world's problems and not telling a soul. That's what you're selling.
Yeah, totally. That's great. So be very personal. I love it. Ross, you just mentioned the idea of getting specific and actually talking about a brand's problems. One of the biggest questions we get asked, and I'm sure you can assume this, we've had lots of conversations about this. How do you actually have a conversation about a brand's problems without sounding arrogant? You know, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to call out something they're doing wrong because it feels offensive, or I don't even know what they're doing wrong. Totally. So take me to, like, what's your strategy? How do you actually dissect what's the problem? And then what's your kind of methodology to which you bring up a problem in a pitch email in a way that doesn't feel harsh?
Totally. Well, for one, I never say, here's the problem. Here's what you're doing wrong. I never tell them what they're doing wrong. I phrase it as an opportunity to do something better. Because as soon as you say you're doing something wrong, they're going to be defensive. Tell them something what they're doing right in the intro. So, like, for me, mine say, like, hey, John Smith, Ross here. And the reason why I say Ross here as opposed to my name is Ross Bernards, I am this, and introduce myself. If you put Ross here, they're like, did I meet a Ross recently at this trade show or something like that? They don't know. And so they're going to keep reading because it gives that little bit of curiosity of who is this? And then from there, it's like, hey, I love how you have done, X on your socials and highlighting these features and showing the people the value that your product is bringing through X or Y. And then I go into, here's an opportunity I see to either like expand on that or even go in a completely different direction to help gain a wider audience.
Yeah, it's great. I love the idea of phrasing it as an opportunity. It's huge. So, Ross, what do you think is we'll wrap up with pitching on this, but for someone who maybe does not have an expanded time horizon, and they maybe have unrealistic expectations for how many pitches they need to send to get work. What do you think are like pretty standard numbers for, hey, send this amount of pitches, you're going to get this many responses, you might book X amount of clients? And then how do you speak to that in a way where it doesn't discourage people? Because I feel like when a lot of the times when we talk about these numbers, people go, I'm not doing that. You got to send 40 pitches to get a client, So bring us into the world of pitching. Why do you pitch? Because you still pitch. You pitch all the time. Yep. Why is it worth it to you? And kind of what do the numbers look like?
So my goal last year was to do 10 a week and focus more on the quality of the pitch as opposed to quantity. So that gave me a little bit more time to really dive into like their social feeds, their websites, any other information that I could get on the brands. And then that also helped me manage it week to week, but I was religious about it every week except for over the holidays and 1 week when I was on vacation. But that week I was on vacation, the week after I sent 20. to make up for it. So you have to set up a system and stick to it. And you can't get discouraged. So pick that number, whatever that number is for you to manage. Like 20 now is more manageable for me because I've developed that muscle. So I would say start with a baseline of 10 and scale up as you get your systems in place to help you to do that. So like now I have templates that I use that I can, put into Claude or ChatGPT or whatever and say, here's the pain point I'm seeing. Can you spit out this email for me in my voice? Because I have given it hundreds and hundreds of emails that I have written, and it will spit out a pretty good thing. And then, I'll change stuff around and in there, but it's quickened the time it takes me to do that to where now, instead of me taking like a whole day to write these pitches, it's a couple hours. And the hardest thing is just finding the brands and finding the contacts. That's the toughest thing because I've developed those other muscles. So, there are programs out there like Contact Out is one that I pay for every month. That is great to find people's emails. Hunter.io offers a free service that I use as my backup and don't even have to pay for it. And it does a great job as well to find the actual contacts. The best thing you can do is if you can avoid finding just the support or the info unless it's a smaller brand, if you can actually find someone to contact, that works well. And then also just a DM on Instagram is helpful too. If I want to pitch that brand and I can't find the contact, I send them a message on DM just saying, hey, I love what you guys are doing and creating this or that and showing this experience. I have some content ideas for you. Is there a good email I could send those over to? And if they get back to me with an email, I'll email it as soon as I can.
Yeah, it's great. So average number is probably like, Christy and I often say you're probably going to hear back from maybe 30% of the pitches you send. So let's say you send 10 pitches. You might hear back from 3, maybe. You might get like half a client or a client. So over 100 pitches, you might, hear back from anywhere between 25 to 30, people. If it's a good pitch, you might land anywhere between like 7 to 10 clients for like 100 pitches. And that's pretty conservative math, but yeah, totally.
If you're
Ross, what's your, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're picking up, let's say in 2 months, you do 25 a week, and in 2 months you pitch 100 brands and you land, 5 clients at $4,000 a project, that's $20,000. That's $10,000 a month. That's sustainable. It's a great. It's $120,000 business.
It's a great month. Yep, totally. Yeah. So Ross, the reason why a lot of people don't have 6-figure businesses like you have, like we've got, is because they hear numbers like that and they go 100 pitches. Like, no way I'm doing that. That's a lot of rejection. How do you get over the idea of how many pitches? Like, it sounds like you've done a great job. We've watched you do this now for years where, I think you made this a wager in the mastermind. You're like, I'm going to do X amount of pitches per week. And like, you've just stuck with it. You've done a great job of that. How do you get yourself to the point where you're like, I'm just going to wake up and pitch? Because so many people, they say they want to pitch, but they don't actually do it.
Yeah, so you got to compartmentalize. When you look at something that big, it's like anything you want to do that's like really big. You have to break it down into its smaller pieces to take more manageable bites at the apple. When I was a concierge at a hotel, we had to reach out to the guests that we were assigned prior to them coming. There were sometimes where it was like 100 guests that I'm having to reach out to before they get there. How I managed it is I didn't do it all in one day. I would break it up into small bites and just do that, because I know if they all got back to me at once, I can't do my job. But if I stagger things out, it makes the whole system more manageable. So if you just take smaller bites, say, I'm going to pitch 100 brands, don't do it all in a week. Because if they get back to you, but it's gonna drive you crazy. If you have a system in place and help to do that, great, do that. But if you're doing it all on your own, take more manageable bites at it and you'll get there. But give yourself realistic expectations and realistic timelines and deadlines, but also hold your feet to the fire, because the biggest thing about being self-employed is you have to be disciplined. No one's going to discipline you. You have to do it yourself. No one's going to hold your feet to the fire. You have to do it to yourself. So hold yourself accountable to those things, because otherwise you're not going to do them. There's so many times when I first got started that I'd be like, I'll pitch I'll pitch some this week and then something else would come up. I'd get distracted by, a shiny object or a squirrel. And then it'd be 3 weeks and I hadn't pitched anyone. I'm like, why don't I have any work? Well, because I put it off and didn't pitch. I didn't hold myself accountable. And that's such a big thing for me. Just in my life in general has been be disciplined about the things that matter.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you hold yourself accountable? This is a golden question.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't like to talk about accountability, but it is the thing that Christy, you know this. If you listen to the pod, you've been listening for a while, you know this. Christy and I have exposure to hundreds of creative businesses a year as photographers, filmmakers, social media managers, content creators. It is so easy. I can literally take one look at somebody. I can talk to them for 5 minutes, ask them a few questions, and I will tell you if they are going to be able to be successful. And their exposure to accountability, their community around them, I think is a massive indicator of that. So Ross, what does that look like for you? Because I think there's a lot of people listening who are like, okay, I hear you, bro, but like, how do I get more accountable to myself? Because we struggle with that. I struggle with that. If I don't have accountability, no way I'm getting stuff done.
Totally. I mean, to me, I always have to think about what happens if I don't do this. Yeah, I have to give up on the thing that gets me out of bed every day. I have to give up on living my dream because I'm not doing what I need to do to make it successful. So that's what helps me be like, okay, nope, you got to sit down and you got to do this and work hard. Because for me, there's no plan B. This is what I want to do. Yeah. I cannot go back to work for someone else now. Like I have tasted freedom and I love it. So I do not want to go back to working for someone else. Like I love it. It gives me, I'm always extremely hard on myself. And one of the things that I have learned through the mastermind is actually, and like through our community, has been to give yourself those applause and those wins, and actually to start to be proud of myself for what I have done and what I have been able to build. And doing so means like, okay, what can I do next? And so there's no giving up. It's just like, I want to do this. I have to make sure that I put my feet to the fire and stand up and be counted for when the time comes to get things done. So like, at the end of 24, I realized I was like overweight and not feeling great when I was trying to do my job. And so I was like, all right, I got to take care of my fitness. And so, because I have to make sure I can actually do the job when, like, if I'm doing a backpacking shoot, that I have the energy to shoot people when we get to camp. They can all be gassed. I can't. And so, I work out 5-6 days a week now, and I've lost 30 pounds because no one was going to do it for me. And I have to do it to do my job.
Yeah, it's great. Understand the stakes and then know what's more painful. I think it sounds like what you're saying. And some of us have just got to learn it the hard way. Discipline is a response. That's actually, maybe that's the answer, is discipline's more often a response than like a starting point. I think it's got to get bad enough, and then you start building discipline. So if you're listening and you're like, I got no clients, I got nobody on the horizon. Well, you got to start building some disciplines, maybe to do what Ross is doing. Maybe you take on the Ross challenge. There we go. 10 pitches a week. That can be the Ross challenge. Take it on.
It's a manageable
so good,
amount.
Meryl.
Well, and like my
totally.
wife, a couple years ago, like I was in a dark space mentally, and I wasn't, like, 23 started off as a great year. I had done like $50,000 through the first 6 months of the year, which, like, oh my God, I'm actually going to hit something. And then 95% of my jobs for that I had booked for the second half of the year, gone. They just evaporated. And so I went into a really dark space, and my wife said, she's like, well, do you still want to do this? And I was like, yeah. She's like, okay, then do it. And she
get up and go pitch.
She was right. She's like,
you
got to figure it out. And so I went back to the drawing board and started figuring things out. And luckily I met Owen from Native Release, who introduced me to the mastermind.
Legend.
And he was in the one right before me. And he's like, dude, I was working on a project with him, and he calls me and he's like, you have got to join the mastermind on the next one. Like, you have to do it. And so I did, and it's been great. But, you have to find those ways to push through the pain and lift yourself up by your bootstraps, and understand that, that's hard. That's very hard to do when you don't have boots. I get that. But your family, your friends, they can be your boots to help lift you up and push you forward.
Yeah.
But it's up to you at the end of the day to take that first step and to do what's necessary to get it done.
Yeah, you got to borrow that confidence. We talk about that. We use that language a lot at Creative Rise. Borrow confidence from other people. That's great. Ross, you've gotten to travel all over the place. You've traveled all over the U.S. You've traveled to Europe. You've traveled to Central and South America. I mean, you've gotten to do some amazing things with a camera in your hands. Talk to me about that first trip you went on to Europe, where you're like, holy crap. I just got this whole trip paid for, and I'm making money. Like I'm actually making money being here, getting to travel, getting to experience things. Talk me through that trip. What were you shooting? And what was your strategy to get paid to go on a trip? This is a massive question for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Talk us through what was the strategy for you to go on trips, whether they're inside the U.S., whether they're inside the country you guys are from, if you're listening, or whether they're international. Walk me through it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like I want to say it was like a 3-stage process. So the first time I went to like Costa Rica, I didn't have like any work. I had one small client, like $500 client. But what I did is I used that trip to create a bunch of content that I could use for future travel to pitch. And so the next time that I went down a couple years later, I was able to get multiple clients on that trip that ended up being, they loved everything from that so much that the next time I went to Europe, they were on board immediately. And so
That's great.
Create the content that you want to shoot and get paid to shoot. So what that looks like is building a deck, but having content that fits exactly what it is that you're pitching. So anyone can say, I'm going to go to Europe and take photos. Okay. Do you have anything to back that up, that you've done stuff like this? And international travel and international work and trips, they're fun, but they're a different beast. Like there's just different things that go on with those that aren't like shooting like around where you live, because around where you live, it's a lot easier to go reshoot something. If you're on a 6-week trip, like we were in Europe for 6 weeks, traveling around all these different places, like 2 or 3 days at a time. If you miss something in that time frame, it's gone. Like you're not getting that back.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I don't like wedding photography is it's stressful. You miss a moment, that moment's gone.
It's most definitely stressful. Shout out to all the wedding photographers who are listening right now.
You guys are a different breed.
You people are amazing.
For you guys. But it's so you have to create the content that you want to shoot, create a compelling pitch to it and why they should hire you while you're going on this trip. So how I usually work is when I'm pitching a trip, I say, I'm going regardless, whether or not you're coming. So you don't have any additional expenses. You're not paying for my plane tickets. You're not paying for my hotels. I'm covering those costs, but I will create content for you in these areas.
Yeah.
And so then we'll hop on a call and iron out what the details and stuff like that's going to be. And then it's a mutually beneficial relationship because they don't have to plan an international shoot where they may have to spend thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to fly a whole team out to, Europe or Costa Rica or Guatemala or something like that. They just have to send me the product and make sure I have it in my hands before I leave. That's all they have to do.
Yeah.
And then they get stuff that's different than what they currently have if they're an American-based brand.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're making it really accessible, easy, and the word we use at Creative Rise all the time, cost effective. It's not cheap.
Yes.
It's cost effective, meaning
Correct.
I'm going to help you cut costs in other areas. It's going to be easy. Get me the product by X date, and you're going to have some great stuff, which is really cool. So, yeah, I love it. Ross, what's it look like to sell for Ross? We've gotten to talk a lot about this. You obviously went through the mastermind 2 years ago, and you've been in the grad community, ever since, which is awesome. So we've gotten to hang out weekly pretty much for the last 2 years, which has been awesome. But we've gotten to see every inch of your business. We've gotten to spend a lot of time together. Sales is never something that I feel like a lot of creatives are comfortable with.
Totally.
I'm
right there
were
with them.
sales? Yeah. What were sales like for you? Like the process of doing sales as a creative a couple years ago. Take me to that. And then let's walk through like what would be one piece of advice you would give Ross from 2.5 years ago if you were speaking to the old version of yourself from a sales perspective. Like, hey, just do this. This is going to be very helpful.
It would literally be to just shut up and listen. Like, stop talking. Just listen. Ask questions. Show them that you're interested and you genuinely want to know. Because I've hopped on calls where I had every call that I hop on, I have a deck made that I will walk through with them, the key points of it. And there's been times where I've, hit the pain points of what I think that they want. Where in the initial conversation, they said, before they saw anything I'd written, they're like, we have tried these things and they have not worked. And so you're like, oh, okay. And so immediately you started me thinking, okay, well, why? And then thinking of different things that they could do that would be helpful, and end up landing the client, because I was like, hey, I'm going to walk through this deck. And I actually mentioned, here's what I thought you could do, was what you just said you guys tried and it didn't work. But hearing that, I think I have another idea, and then walking them through that process. And then again, the other thing is, after you give your packaging and pricing and what you think it's going to cost, shut up. Just stop talking. Do not say, but I can work with you on that. I mean, I tell people I can customize packages for people. Like, I go through that in here. It's like, here are packages that have worked. I'm happy to customize the content, whether it's more photo or more video or vice versa on the packages to fit your needs. But don't be like, I can give you a discount or we can do this or that to like lower the value. Because you just say what it is and keep going and move on. Because you let them marinate on it and they're probably going to be fine with it. And if they aren't, they'll tell you, and you can work through it at that point. But you don't need to just automatically say, I'm going to devalue my work because of what I'm telling you the price is. Because then they're like, well, why are you telling me this is what the price is? You clearly don't value your work. Why should I?
Yeah, totally. This is an issue that we've talked about over the years. A lot of creatives that we end up getting to hang out with, deal with. We'll do mock sales calls inside of the Creative Rise Mastermind and then in the grad community. And that's almost always a piece of feedback that either I end up giving or other people in the community end up giving. It's like you get to the point of the sale where you're like, yeah, so here's the offer. This is how much it's going to cost. And then you just keep blabbering on because you're so nervous about the fact that you just price dropped. You just gave them a number. So say the number and then shut up. Yeah. I love that, Ross. Yeah. That's so good, bro.
Well, the other thing with it too is like, you can always talk to them later about it. If they come back with an objection, deal with the objection then. Don't give them their objection right then and there. Just keep moving. Like, it's never a no, and figuring it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Like, one of the things that I wouldn't have done that I have done in the last couple of years is fired clients and said no to work because I didn't think it was worth my time. It wasn't aligning with my value. And they said they could do things for cheaper and more effectively and efficiently. And I was like, great, go ahead. That's fine.
Yeah. So, hey, when is it time to fire a client? Talk me through that. Because I think there might be some people listening to this who need to fire a client.
I think if you're getting an email, and their email pops up in your inbox and you immediately start having a panic attack, stop working with them. And if they just keep pushing the boundaries of what you agreed on, look, I am always happy to work with my clients and find out solutions to their problems. But when it comes to, they keep pushing the boundary to get more and more for free, like, that's when I'm like, no, this is becoming more difficult. I have been easy to work with. You are becoming not difficult to work with. So it's a two-way street with what I've said at the beginning, like, be easy to work with. It's the same for a client, needs to be easy to work with.
Yeah. Scope creep is great if they're willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Scope creep sucks if you give them a price, they agree to it, then they're constantly throwing little extra things in there trying to get stuff. And next thing you know,
you're
you've
already
got a
there
whole
doing
different
this. I'm like,
beast.
yes, but I have to do this to give you what you want. You are now, I cannot do my job effectively, efficiently, and to my best ability if you keep adding to the scope without adding more time, more cost, and more, understanding of what it actually takes to do all of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ross, what's something that you thought was a good idea and was going to build your business, but now knowing what you know is actually a waste of time? What do people spend time on?
That's a great question.
That is actually a waste of time. And you're like, I either needed to stop doing this way earlier in my career, or I need to tell my friends or tell people listening to the show, stop doing this if you're trying to grow your photo, video, social business.
Honestly, Instagram. When I first started, I focused so much time and energy on that, and I got no business from it. I mean, I've gotten some business from it now, but I spent so much time trying to have a perfect feed and post so regularly, and the mental anguish and just detriment to my mental health that it gave me for years was bad, and it prevented me
just
from
trying to keep up with growing your platform.
Yeah, just try and thinking that's what would help is if and I never wanted to be an influencer. I wanted to be a photographer, but I thought I had to post more and have a following to do that. And now some of my favorite photographers have like 1,000 followers on Instagram. Like they do not care. And I have been trying to post more regularly, and I've been failing at it this year because I've just been so busy, and my focus is on my clients' work because it needs to be. They're paying for my services. I want to make sure I'm giving them my all. So when I have little gaps here and there, I'll try and get back to creating stuff for myself. And I'm currently actually working on trying to create a system for me to be able to post a little bit more regularly. But it's not something that I'm going to like cause me anguish because it's not worth it. And if you're first starting out, what you need to do is create content that you want to create, that makes you happy, that brings you joy, and show how that joy can be translated to those brands' audiences and benefit them, because that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for you to have people like your feed. They want stuff on their feed that's going to help grow their business.
So when you say it doesn't matter, that's I love how straight up that is, because really what's behind that is all you've got to do. The things that matter are get attention on your business, turn that attention into leads, sell those leads, get clients. I mean, those are the 4 steps. Deliver good work. We'll put that as step number 5. That's really all it is.
Focusing on your feed and create a banger website with case study work, showing your commercial work, showing what your how you will help them, like walk them through the steps of what it's like to work with you. That is way more effective than trying to keep up with social media and posting 5 to 7 times a week. Like, it's daunting. I don't much.
And if you're doing the stuff that you just said on the website, on socials, it's actually a phenomenal thing. Like Christy and I mean, our stance. Yeah. I'm a massive fan of Instagram, but you've got to use it for what it is meant to be used for. Yes. And I think a lot of time creatives, and this is really the heart of what you're saying, Ross. You're saying don't get distracted by the shiny object syndrome of likes and views on Instagram and chasing that and building your routines around that, allowing that to dictate your energy and your encouragement and discouragement level, because that will be a volatile mess. That sounds like you lived that for years, myself included.
Yes.
We would have very similar stories in that way. Years and years and years. I posted every single day at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
I posted every day at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for like 5 or 6 years. Grew super similar to you. Grow 25,000 followers. You do your thing. I got a lot of work from it, but it was a grind to constantly do that. Right. And then one day I walked away from it and said, I'm done with that. I'm going to pitch more. All you have to do is just transfer that energy to wherever you feel you're going to get the most amount of attention and the most amount of leads. And for some people, it might be socials. You got to do it right. For some people, it might be pitching. You got to do it right. For some people, it might be paid ads. And it might be a great website with SEO. But wherever you're focusing your attention, you just got to make sure that it's actually generating leads. The amount of photographers I talk to, filmmakers, and they're like, dude, I've gotten like 3.5 million impressions in the last month. I'm like, how many clients did you sign? They're like, well, it's just a lot of other photographers. Well, and I'm like, exactly.
And on that too, like if you are going to post on Instagram, post something you're proud of. Don't post just a post. Like for me, my biggest change, I would say in the last couple years, I remembered you and Christy, we were having a conversation and you guys said, Ross, you're funny. Your feed's not. Like, where are you in your feed? Your personality is not coming through. And so I was like, you know what, you're right. And so the last couple of years, I make things that make me laugh. I make things that make me happy. And I put those things out there to try and attract brands that would be interested in that. So make sure you aren't trying to cookie cutter copy some other influencer or something like that. Like, I personally hate trying to follow trends and like, this is the new trend on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. I'm like, cool. I'm going to just make what I want to make. And because again, my energy is more focused on pitching. If you want to take on the Instagram bear, go ahead. I'm going to make the content that I like to create that makes me happy and brings me joy and doesn't cause me mental anguish if it doesn't perform. Like, there's one on there that's a 45-second long video. It's really funny, but it takes you 43 seconds to get to the punchline. And so it did not perform well, but it's really funny. And so,
well, and the truth is, a lot of the stuff that doesn't perform well gets clients.
Yeah, I've landed multiple clients because of content like that. And so, you know, that's the biggest thing is if you are going to go on Instagram, like, be strategic with what you're posting out there. Make sure there's a purpose and you're not just posting to post. And if it doesn't do well, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Move on. Yeah, move on. Like, social media is so bad for people's mental health because they get caught up in that hamster wheel of, oh, my post's not performing. You don't know who's seeing it. If you're in the brand space, you do not know who has seen your content. And I have had multiple job offers come from just some random person seeing my content. I just booked my second biggest job ever from someone who saw my content. I didn't know that.
It's great.
You don't know who's seen them. It's the same thing with like running ads and stuff is, I haven't had anything come in. And you and I have had this conversation. It's like, I don't know if they're performing. You're like, you don't know who. You do not know who is seeing it. And I've had jobs come in because people have seen them. And so it's, you know, create.
That's what we always say with ads. It's like your next dollar you spend on the ad could be that ad. You know, it's like,
but
it's always funny to think about that.
You don't have to spend a bunch. Like, I think I have it running at like $3 to $5 a day right now. And got a $13,000 job from that.
That's amazing.
So
that's amazing. $13,000 job from a $3 to $5 per day ad, which is incredible. Yeah, everyone's got $3 to $5
for that advertising per day for the next 2 years.
Yes, easily. Yeah. Ross, talk to me about the mastermind. You joined round 12.
Mm-hmm. That was fun.
It was so great. Yeah, great group. It's been so fun to journey with you and see you build post that 6-week, sprint, which is what the 6-week Creative Res Mastermind is. You've been in the grad community now for a couple of years. Talk to me about why did you join the mastermind? Walk me through what was kind of the pain point prior, what was the decision to join, and really what was your overall experience? Like what was the ROI? How would you quantify that?
Man, it was, so the pain point was 23. So year 2023. And going through what I went through is like, I cannot have another year like this. I cannot have this happen again. And so talking with Owen and reaching out to him and just seeing how quickly it had changed his processes and made things better for him. And him and I were dealing with a lot of the similar issues as we would send out a ton of pitches and never hear anything back. And we both were kind of, I felt like just hamsters on a wheel, just couldn't figure out what to do. And so him saying, you need to sign up for it. And then me having just, again, things were starting off great, but they were starting to peter that second half of the year again. And for the first few years of my business, it was spring was always good. Summer was okay. Fall and winter were awful. And so I was like, I can't do this bust and boom type of cycle. I need to have something that's more consistent. And so having Owen just be like, you need to do this. And me seeing that the writing on the wall of like, it's going to be another rough fall. And I felt like I had tried everything and nothing was working. And so joining the mastermind was so great because one, it made me not feel insane because I feel like there's so many of us who are
Yes.
who feel like
Dude,
we're
so
just
good. Yeah.
like no one else is experiencing what I'm experiencing. No, we are all experiencing exactly what you were experiencing. And so having a community to like go through that with, and having not just you and Christy, but 30 some other businesses and eyes on your business, giving you ideas, bouncing ideas off of each other, hearing other people's problems and how they resonate, but how they solved one. Oh, that could actually work over here, and vice versa. Like, it's so good for that. And honestly, the biggest ROI has been joining the community and having that ongoing ability to continue to ask questions and not feel alone.
Yeah.
I work from home.
Feedback loop.
Yeah, I work from home, and I need to be able to. I don't go into an office, and so it's like it's a one-man show. It is me on every single project from start to finish.
Yeah.
It is just me doing all the work, except for hiring talent to like be in front of the camera. But I do all the calling, I do all the follow-ups, I do all the emails, I do all the storyboards, shot lists, shoot, edit, everything. Delivery is all me. And so having a people that I can bounce ideas off of and talk to and find solutions to maybe when I'm having a roadblock has been great. I mean, it's been so hugely helpful, and it's made me a lot more confident in what I'm doing and feel like I can actually keep doing this, because there was a while where I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this, but having people support you and celebrate your wins with you, and also help lift you up when you're feeling down. Cause I know there's been times when, we all go through dry spells and we're like, what's going on?
100%.
And having people to
Yeah.
bounce those ideas on how can we pick ourselves back up again is great. It's super helpful.
Yeah, dude. So good. Like, I always joke, people come for the content and they stay for the community.
100%. I mean, what
It's
was the
it's
course?
so important to be. Sorry, go ahead.
The course was what, like 3,600, something like that.
3.
Free?
28.97. Yeah.
It more than paid. It paid for itself before the 6 weeks were up. I had booked more work during those 6 weeks to pay for it than I thought was possible. And it's just kind of like gone up from there. But again, the relationships that you build with other creatives, and being also to be like, I've had clients reach out and be like, hey, could you do this? Or do you know anyone in this area? And been able to like throw work to people, being like, hey, someone's working, needs a photographer up in like Seattle. Is there anyone in the community up there, or to try and like link up? Just because, there's more than enough work to go around. And
100%.
for me, I've never been like a gatekeeper. Like, open book, ask me questions. My knowledge is meant to be shared. If anything I can do can help you not make the same mistakes I made and make your life easier, I'm all for it. All for it, because I have always lived my life as, if I don't like how something is done to me, I don't want to do it to anybody else. And so I when I was working in hospitality, I was like, they said they were going to promote me to manager, but dock my pay $3 an hour and told me it was a raise. And I'm like, it's not a raise. They're like, yeah, but your overtime's guaranteed. I'm like, my overtime's always been guaranteed. And they're like, well, this is just kind of the standard in the industry. I had to do this. And I was like, so why are you doing it to somebody else? Like, this is another reason why I can't work for other people. I'm pretty blunt.
Yeah. Well, Ross, you're definitely the right guy to be self-employed. So we'll wrap with that. From Christy and I, obviously, we're so proud of you, bro.
Thanks,
You're
man.
the man. Love to see you double the size of your business, and to think that this year it might be 3 times the size that your business was like a year and a half ago. It's just incredible. So thanks for just being a great example on this podcast of what to do, what not to do, how to be disciplined, how to keep your head up, in those dry seasons when things are discouraging, because it happens to all of us. Great advice on pitching, sales, and everything else. So glad you're on, bro. We'll have you back on at some point. But final question, where can people find you? Give us quickly, like, if someone wants to connect, follow your work, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm on Instagram at Ross Bernards with an S on the end. And my website, www.rossbernards.com. Those are 2 main places. I also have a Facebook page. And then, hit me up on there. Shoot me an email. Like, open book. You ever want to meet up and go do something fun out in the deserts of Utah and Colorado? I'm all for it. I might have you model for me, but that's okay.
You can come, but I'm gonna put a product in your hand
for a minute.
Yes, yeah,
But you'll
exactly.
go
Love
and
that.
you'll be doing something really cool, I promise.
Yeah, Ross. Last question: why is it worth it to really go after the business side of running your photography and filmmaking company? Why is it worth it? And yeah, for everyone who's like, I think I'm about to go all in, but I'm just nervous. There's some fear. Take us home. Why is it worth it for you?
Yeah, I mean, do you really want to get to the end of your life and look back and say, I wish I would have? We're not promised someday. We're only promised today. So just go for it. If it doesn't work out, you have options. You can go back to what you were doing. You can find a different job. But you may also find a pathway that you never thought was possible to do something completely different. It's mind blowing what you can do. And the only thing that's going to hold you back is yourself. So get out of your own way and just go for it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Well, guys, thanks for hanging with us. Ross, thanks for being here, bro. This was awesome.
Thanks, man.
And
Good to talk
we will
to you,
definitely
Joey.
get you back on.
I appreciate it.
Well, that was such a great episode with Ross. He is so fun to chat to. He's got so much great value, and his stories are iconic. So, Ross, thanks for being on the pod, bro. So great. Guys, if you are new to the podcast, I'm so glad you're here. If you made it all the way here, would love if you would just share this episode with a friend. Share it with somebody else who's in the brand world, trying to get into the brand world, maybe living in a van, trying to pursue doing full-time work with their camera, just like Ross. This episode could really help them get on their way there. And if you want to go through the same system, the same program that Ross went through, the 6-week Creative Rise Mastermind, hit the link in the description of this episode. You know where to find it, or just message us round 16 on Instagram. We'll get you over all the details, talk about when the dates are coming up, and you can join the waitlist today so that you are the first to know when the applications drop for that, for us to help you install a 6-figure business foundation into your business the same way we helped Ross do that. But most importantly, guys, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it all the way to the end of the episode, and hopefully today was unbelievably valuable for you, and we will see you next week.